Most men today believe they don't need to care about their appearance. They tell themselves it's shallow, that it's what's inside that matters, that real substance transcends the physical. And in a way, they're right. But they're also profoundly wrong. I've spent decades observing human nature, watching how people interact, how they judge, how they decide who deserves their time and respect. And I've learned something that makes most people uncomfortable. Your appearance is not separate from who you are. It's a direct reflection of how you see yourself, and more importantly, how seriously you take your own life. Look around. You see men who wake up and throw on whatever is closest. They look in the mirror and see nothing worth maintaining. They convince themselves that caring about appearance is vanity, that it's feminine, that it's beneath them. Meanwhile, their relationships deteriorate, their careers stagnate, and they wonder why the world seems to pass them by. They blame society, they blame superficiality, they blame everything except the man they refuse to see in the mirror. The truth is simpler and more painful than they want to admit. When you don't care how you look, you're telling the world you don't care about yourself. And if you don't care about yourself, why should anyone else? I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time when I believed the same lie. I thought my ideas were enough, that my intelligence would speak for itself, that people would see past the exterior and recognize my value. I was wrong, dead wrong, and it cost me opportunities I can never recover. I watched men with half my insight and a fraction of my dedication climb past me, not because they were better, but because they understood something I refused to accept. People make decisions about you in seconds. Before you open your mouth, before you demonstrate your competence, before you have any chance to prove your worth, they've already decided who you are based on what they see. This is the reality we live in. We can call it unfair, we can call it shallow, we can spend our entire lives raging against it. Or we can accept it and use it to our advantage. The man who masters his appearance isn't being superficial, he's being strategic. He understands that in a world where attention is the most valuable currency, you don't get a second chance at a first impression. He knows that respect isn't given freely, it's earned, and the earning begins the moment someone lays eyes on you. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think obsessing over appearance means spending hours at the gym, buying expensive clothes, or chasing some Instagram aesthetic. That's not what I'm talking about. That's vanity masquerading as self-improvement. Real obsession with appearance is about discipline. It's about waking up every morning and making the conscious choice to present the best version of yourself to the world, not for approval, not for validation, but because you respect yourself too much to do otherwise. Think about what it means to neglect your appearance. You're saying to yourself every single day that you're not worth the effort. You're programming your subconscious mind to believe you're unimportant, that your goals don't matter, that you're content with mediocrity. And your mind listens. It absorbs every message you send it, and it shapes your reality accordingly. The man who looks in the mirror and sees someone not worth caring for becomes that person. His confidence erodes. His ambition dulls. He settles into a life of quiet resignation, wondering why success seems to come so easily to others. The modern world has made this problem worse. We're told to be authentic, to be ourselves, to reject societal standards. And there's wisdom in that advice, but it's been twisted into an excuse for laziness. Being authentic doesn't mean showing up to life as your worst self. It means having the courage to become the person you're capable of being, and that person cares about how they present themselves to the world. Your appearance is not a mask hiding your true self. It's a statement about who you've decided to be. I've watched this transformation happen countless times. A man who's been drifting through life, invisible and ineffective, makes one decision. He decides to care. He starts with something small. Maybe he replaces his worn-out wardrobe. Maybe he commits to a daily grooming routine. Maybe he simply starts standing up straight and looking people in the eye. The change isn't immediate, but it's inevitable. Something shifts inside him. He starts seeing himself differently. And when he sees himself differently, others do too. This is not about becoming someone you're not. It's about removing the barriers between who you are and who you're capable of being. Every time you neglect your appearance, you're building those barriers higher. You're telling yourself and everyone around you that you've given up, that you've accepted defeat, that you're fine being forgettable. And the tragic part is, you might actually have brilliance inside you. You might have ideas that could change lives, talents that could inspire others, potential that could reshape your entire future. But none of it matters if no one takes you seriously enough to listen. The enemy here isn't just laziness, though that's part of it. The real enemy is the belief system that convinces you appearance doesn't matter. It's the voice in your head that says real success comes from inner work alone, that focusing on the external is shallow and meaningless. That voice is lying to you. Inner work is essential, absolutely. But if you think you can transform your life while looking like you've given up on yourself, you're delusional. The external and internal are not separate. They feed each other. When you improve how you look, you improve how you feel. When you improve how you feel, you improve how you act. And when you improve how you act, you improve your results. I'm not telling you to become obsessed with fashion or to spend hours perfecting your appearance. I'm telling you to become obsessed with excellence in every area of your life, and that includes how you present yourself to the world. The man who says he doesn't care about appearance is usually the same man who doesn't care about his health, his environment, his relationships, or his future. Neglect in one area spreads like a disease to all areas. The habit of not caring becomes your default operating system, and before you know it, you're living a life you never consciously chose. Let me tell you what changes when you start obsessing over your appearance in the right way. First, your energy shifts. You wake up with purpose. Getting ready for the day becomes a ritual of self-respect, not a chore. You start noticing details about yourself you've ignored for years. You become more present, more aware, more alive. Second, people treat you differently. Opportunities appear that were invisible before. Conversations flow more easily. Doors open. You're not competing for attention anymore because you naturally command it. Third, your entire self-image transforms. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's just trying to get by. You start seeing yourself as someone who's building something significant, someone who's going somewhere, someone who matters. But the most profound change happens internally. When you commit to maintaining your appearance every single day, regardless of how you feel, you develop discipline. And discipline is the foundation of everything worthwhile in life. The man who can force himself to dress well on the days he feels terrible is the same man who can force himself to work when he doesn't feel motivated, to stay loyal when temptation appears, to keep going when everyone else quits. Your appearance becomes a daily practice of self-mastery. It's a non-negotiable standard you hold yourself to, a line you refuse to cross no matter how convenient it would be to let it slide. This is where most people fail. They try to improve their appearance for a week, maybe a month, and then they revert back to their old habits. Why? Because they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it for external validation, for likes on social media, for attention from others. And when that validation doesn't come fast enough or in the amount they expected, they quit. But the man who obsesses over his appearance for the right reasons, because it's an expression of self-respect and personal discipline, doesn't need external validation. The act itself is the reward. Every morning he looks in the mirror and sees evidence that he's a man who keeps his promises to himself. That evidence builds confidence that no amount of external praise could ever provide. The modern world is full of men who've given up. You see them everywhere. In coffee shops with stained shirts and defeated postures, in offices going through the motions waiting for retirement, in their own homes, numbing themselves with distractions, wondering when life is going to get better. They've accepted mediocrity as inevitable, and they wear it like a uniform. And the saddest part is, most of them had potential. Most of them had dreams once. But somewhere along the way they stopped believing they were worth the effort, and their appearance reflected that belief back to them until it became their reality. You don't have to be one of them. You can decide right now that you're worth more than that. You can commit to obsessing over your appearance not as an act of narcissism, but as an act of war against the part of you that wants to quit. Because make no mistake, there is a part of you that wants to quit. It wants you to stay comfortable, to avoid judgment, to blend in and be invisible. It tells you that caring about appearance is superficial, that you should focus on deeper things. But that voice is your enemy. It's the voice of mediocrity, trying to keep you small and manageable. When I talk about obsessing over appearance, I'm talking about creating a standard and refusing to negotiate with yourself about it. I'm talking about deciding that every time you leave your house, you're going to look like someone who's in control of their life, someone who has somewhere important to be, someone who expects to be taken seriously. I'm talking about making your appearance a reflection of your ambition, your discipline, and your self-respect. This isn't about impressing others, though that will happen. This is about programming your own mind to believe you're capable of excellence. The psychological impact of this cannot be overstated. Your brain is constantly looking for evidence to support whatever belief system you hold about yourself. If you believe you're average, your brain will find evidence of your averageness everywhere. If you believe you're unsuccessful, your brain will catalogue every failure and ignore every success. But if you decide to obsess over your appearance, to make it excellent regardless of how you feel, you're giving your brain evidence that you're someone who demands more from yourself. You're training it to see you as disciplined, as capable, as someone who sets standards and meets them. And over time, that belief system expands into every other area of your life. This is why the most successful people you'll ever meet are often obsessive about their appearance. Not because they're vain, but because they understand the relationship between external excellence and internal state. They know that you can't feel like a winner while looking like you've given up. They know that confidence isn't just a feeling, it's a habit built through thousands of small decisions to respect yourself enough to care. They know that in a world where everyone is competing for attention, resources, and opportunity, the people who succeed are the ones who make it easy for others to take them seriously. But let's address the resistance you're probably feeling right now. Part of you is thinking this sounds exhausting, that you don't have time, that you've got more important things to worry about. And that's exactly the problem. You've convinced yourself that your appearance is separate from those important things, that you can somehow achieve success while neglecting the vehicle through which you engage with the world. You can't. Your appearance is not separate from your career, your relationships, your health, or your happiness. It's integrated with all of them. When one rises, they all rise. When one falls, they all fall. I've seen men transform their entire lives simply by deciding to obsess over their appearance. Not because looking good magically solved their problems, but because the discipline required to maintain excellent appearance created a foundation of self-respect that infected every other area of their life. They started showing up differently. They started demanding more from themselves. They stopped accepting excuses. They became the kind of men who keep their word, who finish what they start, who refuse to settle for less than they're capable of achieving. And it all started with a simple decision to care about how they looked. The truth is, your appearance is one of the few things in life you have complete control over. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people's opinions. You can't control the cards you were dealt. But you can control whether you shave, whether your clothes fit, whether you stand up straight, whether you look people in the eye. These are choices you make every single day, and those choices either reinforce the person you want to become or they reinforce the person you're afraid of remaining. Most people go their entire lives without understanding this. They float through the world in bodies they've stopped caring for, wearing clothes that don't fit, projecting an image of defeat and resignation, and they wonder why life feels hard, why respect is scarce, why opportunities never seem to come their way. They've forgotten that the world is a mirror. It reflects back to you exactly what you show it. Show it someone who's given up and it will treat you like someone who's given up. Show it someone who demands excellence from themselves and it will adjust its treatment accordingly. This is not about genetics or money or having some natural advantage. I've seen men with ordinary features and limited budgets completely transform how they're perceived simply by becoming obsessive about the details. A haircut that fits your face, clothes that actually fit your body, shoes that aren't falling apart, good posture, eye contact, a handshake that means something. These things cost almost nothing, but their impact is immeasurable, because they signal to everyone you meet that you're someone who pays attention, someone who cares about quality, someone who respects themselves and expects that respect to be reciprocated. The mistake most men make is thinking appearance is about attracting women or impressing peers, or climbing some social ladder. That's thinking too small. Your appearance is about you. It's about the relationship you have with yourself. Every morning you have a choice. You can reinforce the belief that you're valuable and worth caring for, or you can reinforce the belief that you're unimportant and disposable. That choice, repeated every single day, creates your destiny. Not in some mystical sense, but in a very practical one. The man who consistently chooses to care becomes a man of discipline. The man who consistently chooses to neglect becomes a man of excuses. And here's what nobody tells you about discipline. It's not about motivation or willpower or some inherent strength of character. Discipline is a skill you build through practice, and appearance is the perfect training ground because the results are immediate and visible. You can't fake it. You either did it or you didn't. You either maintained your standard or you compromised. And every time you maintain it, especially when you don't feel like it, you're building the muscle of self-mastery that will serve you in every challenge you face for the rest of your life. I'm asking you to become obsessed, but understand what that means. Obsession isn't frantic or anxious. It's focused and committed. It means you've decided that your appearance matters enough to give it consistent attention. It means you've accepted that you live in a visual world, and your visual presentation is your introduction to every opportunity you'll ever have. It means you've stopped lying to yourself about inner beauty being enough, and started accepting that excellence requires attention to both the internal and the external. The world is not fair, and it's not going to change. People will judge you by how you look before they know anything else about you. You can spend your life being angry about that, or you can accept it and use it to your advantage. The man who obsesses over his appearance isn't surrendering to superficiality. He's acknowledging reality and refusing to be handicapped by it. He's taking control of the one thing that's entirely within his power, the image he projects into the world, and using it as a foundation to build everything else. When you walk into a room looking like you respect yourself, people respond differently. They lean in instead of checking their phones. They remember your name. They take your ideas seriously. They assume competence until proven otherwise, instead of assuming incompetence until proven otherwise. These small shifts compound over time into massive advantages. The opportunities you didn't even know existed start appearing. The relationships that seemed impossible become natural. The version of yourself you've been trying to become starts emerging, not because you've changed fundamentally, but because you've removed the barriers that were hiding that person from the world. This is the great irony of appearance. The people who say it doesn't matter are usually the ones most affected by neglecting it. They're invisible not because they choose to be, but because they've made themselves invisible. And then they blame the world for not seeing them, but the world has no obligation to look harder. If you want to be seen, you have to be worth seeing. If you want to be respected, you have to look like someone deserving of respect. This isn't superficial. This is fundamental to how human beings operate. We are visual creatures living in a visual world, and pretending otherwise is just another form of self-sabotage. So become obsessed. Make your appearance a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. Not because you're trying to be someone you're not, but because you're finally ready to show the world who you actually are. Stop hiding behind excuses about authenticity and inner beauty. Those are real and important, but they're not enough. You need both. You need the internal work and the external expression. You need the substance and the presentation. And when you commit to both, when you refuse to neglect either, that's when transformation becomes inevitable. Your life is waiting for you on the other side of this decision. The version of yourself that commands respect, that attracts opportunity, that moves through the world with confidence and purpose, that person already exists inside you, but they're trapped behind layers of neglect and resignation. Every morning you spend 10 extra minutes on your appearance, you're stripping away those layers. Every time you choose quality over convenience, you're revealing more of who you're capable of being. Every time you look in the mirror and see someone worth caring for, you're programming your mind to believe in possibilities you've been denying yourself for years. This is not about vanity. This is about dignity. It's about refusing to go through life as a shadow of your potential. It's about understanding that you only get one chance at this life, And you owe it to yourself to show up as the best version of yourself you can create. Not perfect, not flawless, but excellent. Consistently, uncompromisingly excellent. The kind of person who makes other people think twice about dismissing them. The kind of person who walks into a room and shifts the energy simply by being present. I've lived long enough to know that regret comes not from trying and failing, but from never trying at all. And one of the most common regrets I hear from older men is that they spent decades not caring about themselves, not respecting themselves enough to maintain basic standards. They wake up one day, look in the mirror, and realize they've been treating themselves like they don't matter. And by then, it feels too late to change. But it's never too late. The best time to start obsessing over your appearance was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to lose weight or make more money or feel more confident. Start now exactly as you are with exactly what you have. Find one thing you can improve about your appearance today and improve it. Tomorrow find another. Build the habit of caring, of maintaining standards, of refusing to negotiate with the part of yourself that wants to quit. Make it automatic. Make it non-negotiable. Make it part of your identity. You're not someone who sometimes cares about appearance. You're someone who always does, because that's who you've decided to be. The transformation you're looking for won't come from a single dramatic change. It will come from 1,000 small decisions repeated daily that gradually reshape how you see yourself and how the world sees you. It will come from becoming the kind of person who keeps their promises to themselves, who maintains standards even when no one is watching, who refuses to settle for mediocrity in any area of life. Your appearance is just the beginning, the first domino in a chain reaction that will eventually touch everything you are and everything you do. So obsess over it. Make it matter. Give it the attention it deserves, not because you're shallow, but because you're finally ready to be deep about all of it, the internal and the external, the spiritual and the physical, the person you are and the person you're becoming. Stop separating them. Stop pretending one matters more than the other. They're inseparable. Your external reality reflects your internal state, and your internal state responds to your external reality. When you elevate one, you elevate both. When you neglect one, you sabotage both. The world is waiting for the best version of you. Not the version that has all the answers, or that's perfect in every way, but the version that shows up every day with discipline and self-respect, that looks in the mirror and sees someone worth investing in, someone worth believing in, someone worth becoming. That version of you changes everything. It changes how you walk into rooms, how you introduce yourself, how you handle rejection and opportunity. It changes what you're willing to accept from yourself and from others. It changes your trajectory, your relationships, your entire experience of being alive. This is what I mean when I say obsess over your appearance. I mean make it a daily practice of self-respect and self-mastery. I mean use it as a foundation for discipline that extends into every other area of your life. I mean stop treating yourself like you don't matter, and start treating yourself like the project you are, constantly under construction, constantly improving, constantly becoming more of who you're capable of being. Your appearance is the most visible manifestation of that project. Make it excellent, make it consistent, make it uncompromising, and watch as everything else in your life begins to align with the standard you've set for yourself. The choice is yours. You can continue as you have been, drifting through life in a body and image you've given up on, wondering why success feels so distant. Or you can decide today that you're done settling, done making excuses, done pretending appearance doesn't matter. You can commit to the discipline of daily excellence, starting with the man in the mirror. You can become obsessed with presenting yourself to the world as someone who demands to be taken seriously because you take yourself seriously. And when you make that decision, when you truly commit to it, your life will transform in ways you can't yet imagine. Not because appearance is magic, but because the discipline required to maintain it builds a foundation of self-respect that changes absolutely everything. Think about it. Look at yourself honestly. Decide who you want to be. And then become obsessed with showing that person to the world, starting with how you look. This is not the whole journey, but it's a crucial beginning. And every journey starts with a single decision. Make yours now. Let me continue with the depth this subject demands, because there are layers here most people never consider. When I talk about obsessing over your appearance, I'm really talking about reconstructing your relationship with yourself from the ground up. Most men have spent years, maybe decades, operating on autopilot. They look in the mirror without actually seeing themselves. They get dressed without making a choice. They move through the world projecting an image they never consciously designed. And then they're surprised when life treats them like background characters in someone else's story. The reason appearance matters so much isn't because the world is superficial, though there's truth to that. It's because appearance is the physical manifestation of your inner state. Show me a man who's neglected his appearance for years, and I'll show you a man who's neglected his dreams, his relationships, his health, his potential. The external always reflects the internal. You can't separate them, no matter how much you want to believe otherwise. When you stop caring how you look, you're really saying you've stopped caring about yourself. And when you stop caring about yourself, you've stopped caring about everything that matters. I've watched this pattern destroy more potential than any external obstacle ever could. Men with genuine talent, with ideas worth sharing, with the capacity to create real value in the world, diminish themselves through neglect. They shuffle into important meetings looking like they just rolled out of bed. They show up to first dates looking like they're doing the other person a favor just by appearing. They wonder why nobody takes them seriously, why their careers stagnate, why respect is hard to come by. The answer is staring at them in the mirror every morning, but they've trained themselves not to see it. Here's what happens when you commit to becoming obsessed with your appearance in the right way. The first week is uncomfortable. You're not used to the attention it requires. You're fighting years of habit, years of telling yourself it doesn't matter. You feel self-conscious, maybe even fraudulent, like you're playing dress-up as someone you're not. But you push through because you've decided this matters. Week 2 gets easier. The routine starts to form. You notice small changes in how people interact with you. The barista makes eye contact. The stranger holds the door. These are tiny shifts, barely noticeable, but they register in your subconscious. By week 3, something fundamental changes. You start to see yourself differently. The person in the mirror starts to look like someone with potential, someone going somewhere, someone who matters. But the real transformation happens around week 6 or 7. That's when it stops being something you do and starts being who you are. You're no longer someone trying to care about appearance. You're someone who does. The distinction is everything. Your identity has shifted. And when your identity shifts, your behavior follows automatically. You don't have to motivate yourself anymore. You don't have to fight resistance. You've become the kind of person who maintains standards, period. No negotiation, no exceptions, no excuses. This is where most self-improvement advice fails. It tells you to change your behavior through willpower and motivation. But willpower is finite and motivation is fickle. Real change happens at the identity level. You don't force yourself to maintain excellent appearance. You become someone for whom excellent appearance is non-negotiable. It's no longer a choice you make every morning. It's a standard you embody. And that standard, once established, extends naturally into every other area of your life. Think about what this means practically. The man who obsesses over his appearance wakes up earlier. He has to maintain his standards, so now he's practicing discipline first thing every morning. That discipline bleeds into his work. He becomes more focused, more productive, more reliable. His appearance requires planning. He thinks about what he'll wear, what impression he wants to make, what the day demands of him. So, now he's practicing intentionality, thinking ahead, refusing to wing it. That intentionality transforms his decision-making across the board. He stops reacting to life and starts designing it. The physical act of maintaining appearance also demands presence. You can't rush through grooming and dressing while your mind is elsewhere. You have to be here now, paying attention to details. So you're practicing mindfulness, building the muscle of being fully engaged in the present moment. And presence is the foundation of excellence in everything. The man who can't be present while getting ready for the day can't be present in conversation, in his work, in his relationships. But the man who practices presence every morning becomes present everywhere. There's also something profound about the act of caring for your body. When you shower with intention, when you groom yourself carefully, when you dress yourself thoughtfully, you're engaging in an act of respect. You're saying to your body, to yourself, that you matter, that you're worth the effort, that you deserve to be cared for. Most men go decades without ever sending themselves that message. They treat their bodies like inconvenient vehicles, barely maintaining them, certainly not honoring them. And then they wonder why they feel disconnected from themselves, why they lack confidence, why they don't feel worthy of success. The relationship between appearance and self-worth runs deeper than most people realize. When you consistently present yourself well, you're programming your subconscious mind with a very specific message. I am valuable, I am worthy of respect, I am someone who deserves good things. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between what you say and what you do. It only responds to consistent behavior. You can tell yourself you're valuable all day long, but if your behavior suggests otherwise, your subconscious knows the truth. The man who neglects his appearance is teaching himself at a level deeper than words that he's not worth the effort, and that lesson, repeated daily for years, becomes the foundation of a mediocre life. But when you flip that script, when you become obsessed with presenting yourself excellently every single day, you're reprogramming that foundational belief. You're teaching yourself through action that you are worth it, that you do deserve good things, that you are someone of value who merits respect and attention. And your subconscious absorbs that lesson, it integrates it into your self-concept, and from that new self-concept, new behaviors emerge naturally. You start pursuing opportunities you would have avoided before. You start setting boundaries you would have ignored before. You start demanding more from yourself and from others because your baseline belief about your own value has fundamentally shifted. This is not magic, this is not wishful thinking, this is basic psychology. Your behavior shapes your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your reality. When you obsess over your appearance, you're not just changing how you look, you're changing who you believe yourself to be, and who you believe yourself to be determines everything else. It determines what you think you're capable of, what you think you deserve, what you're willing to tolerate, what you're willing to pursue. Everything flows from that core belief about yourself. I want to address something that often comes up when I discuss this topic. People say, but what about people who are naturally attractive? They have an unfair advantage. And yes, conventional attractiveness has benefits. Nobody denies that. But I've seen conventionally attractive people waste their natural advantages through neglect. And I've seen ordinary-looking people transform their entire lives through obsessive attention to their presentation. Natural attractiveness is like being born wealthy. It's an advantage, certainly, but it doesn't guarantee success. And lack of it doesn't guarantee failure. What matters is what you do with what you have. The man who's obsessed with his appearance, regardless of his natural features, communicates something powerful. I pay attention. I care about quality. I respect myself. I maintain standards. These communications matter more than symmetrical features or six-pack abs. They matter because they indicate character, discipline, and self-respect. And those qualities are magnetic. They attract opportunity, respect, and connection in ways that passive attractiveness never could. Consider the alternative. The naturally attractive person who neglects their appearance communicates the opposite. I'm coasting on genetics. I don't maintain what I have. I take things for granted. This repels the very people and opportunities that natural attractiveness should attract. Meanwhile, the ordinary person who obsesses over their appearance outcompetes them, not through natural advantage, but through demonstrated commitment to excellence. The world rewards effort and attention far more consistently than it rewards natural gifts. This is why I'm asking you to become obsessed. Not casual about it, not moderately interested, but genuinely obsessed. Because obsession is what's required to overcome years of neglect and to establish new standards that become automatic. Anything less than obsession will fade when obstacles appear, when motivation wanes, when life gets difficult. But obsession, true obsession, persists. It's not dependent on feeling motivated. It's not negotiable based on circumstances. It's a commitment you've made to yourself that transcends emotion and convenience. And here's what obsession looks like in practice. It means you have a morning routine that's sacred. Nothing interrupts it. Nothing shortens it. Nothing compromises it. It means you know what works for your specific features, your specific body type, your specific coloring. You've studied it, you've experimented, you've figured it out. It means you've invested in quality over quantity. You'd rather have 3 excellent shirts than 10 mediocre ones. It means you pay attention to details others ignore. The condition of your shoes, the cleanliness of your nails, the alignment of your collar. It means you've stopped making excuses about not having time or money or knowledge. You've made it a priority, and priorities find a way. Obsession also means you've developed a relationship with discomfort, because maintaining excellent appearance is sometimes uncomfortable. It requires waking up earlier. It requires passing on the comfortable but sloppy option. It requires doing things when you don't feel like it. But obsessed people understand that discomfort is the price of transformation. They don't avoid it. They lean into it. They know that every time they choose the disciplined option over the comfortable one, they're strengthening the person they're becoming. There's also a social dimension to this that needs addressing. When you start obsessing over your appearance, people will notice. Some will be supportive. Many will be skeptical or even hostile. They'll make jokes about you being vain or trying too hard. They'll question why you're suddenly caring about something you never cared about before. This is where most people quit. They can't handle the social pressure, the judgment, the mockery. They retreat back to invisibility because it's safer. But here's what you need to understand about that resistance. It's not really about you, it's about them. When you start improving yourself visibly, you're holding up a mirror to everyone around you. You're showing them what's possible with discipline and commitment. And that mirror is uncomfortable for people who've accepted mediocrity in their own lives. Your improvement highlights their stagnation. Your standards expose their excuses, so they attack, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something right, and it reminds them of everything they're not doing. The man who's truly committed to transformation doesn't bend to social pressure. He understands that the people criticizing him are exactly the people he should not be taking advice from. He knows that successful people, disciplined people, people who've achieved what he wants to achieve, won't mock him for trying to improve. They'll respect it. They'll recognize a fellow traveler on the path of self-mastery. And those are the people whose opinions matter. So when you face mockery or resistance or judgment for caring about your appearance, wear it as a badge of honor. It means you're doing something different, something that makes mediocre people uncomfortable. It means you're on the right path. Double down. Become even more obsessed. Let their discomfort fuel your commitment. Because every time you maintain your standards in the face of social pressure, you're building psychological strength that will serve you in every difficult situation you'll ever face. Now let's talk about the compound effect of this obsession over time. In the first month, you look better. In the third month, you feel different about yourself. In the 6th month, people treat you noticeably differently. By the 1-year mark, you've become unrecognizable to who you were when you started. Not just in appearance, but in confidence, in posture, in presence, in how you carry yourself through the world. And that transformation is just the beginning. Because by that point, you've built a foundation of discipline that extends far beyond appearance. You've proven to yourself that you can commit to something difficult and sustain it. You've demonstrated that you can change, that you're not stuck, that your past doesn't determine your future. And that proof, that evidence of your own capability, becomes rocket fuel for every other area of transformation you want to pursue. You start thinking, if I can transform my appearance through daily discipline, what else can I transform? My finances, my career, my relationships, my health. The answer is everything. Everything is available to the person who's proven they can sustain obsessive commitment to a single standard. This is why appearance is such a powerful starting point for complete life transformation. It's visible, it's daily, it's entirely within your control, and the results are immediate and obvious. Unlike career transformation, which might take years to manifest, or relationship transformation, which involves other people's choices, appearance transformation is solely up to you. Every single day you get feedback. You look in the mirror and see evidence of your commitment or lack thereof. That immediate feedback creates a tight loop between effort and result that accelerates learning and habit formation. And as you maintain this obsession, as it becomes automatic, you develop what I call embodied confidence. This is different from intellectual confidence or fake it till you make it confidence. Embodied confidence comes from knowing at a cellular level that you're someone who keeps their word to themselves. It comes from the daily practice of doing what you said you'd do regardless of how you feel. It comes from looking in the mirror and seeing someone who maintains standards. That confidence radiates from you without you trying. People sense it. They can't articulate why, but they know you're different. They know you're serious. They know you're someone who demands respect. This is the transformation I'm inviting you into, not a surface-level makeover that fades in a few weeks. Not a temporary burst of motivation that dies when life gets hard, but a fundamental reconstruction of your relationship with yourself, built on the foundation of daily discipline expressed through obsessive attention to your appearance. It starts with how you look, but it ends with who you become. And who you become determines everything else, every opportunity you'll have, every relationship you'll build, every goal you'll achieve, every version of success you'll experience. The question is not whether this works. I've seen it work too many times to doubt it. The question is whether you're willing to do it. Whether you're willing to become obsessed. Whether you're willing to make your appearance a non-negotiable daily practice. Whether you're willing to face the discomfort, the social pressure, the initial awkwardness of caring about something you've neglected for years. Whether you're willing to commit to excellence when the entire world is telling you that mediocrity is acceptable. I can't make that decision for you. Nobody can. This is something you have to choose for yourself, but I can tell you what's waiting on the other side of that choice. A version of yourself that commands respect, that moves through the world with confidence and purpose, that attracts opportunity instead of chasing it, that lives with the dignity that comes from knowing you're becoming the best version of yourself you're capable of creating. That's what's waiting. And it all starts with a decision to obsess over your appearance, not for vanity, but for the discipline and self-respect that obsession requires. So make the decision. Start tomorrow morning. Start right now. Look in the mirror and commit to the man you're capable of becoming. Commit to presenting that man to the world every single day through obsessive attention to your appearance. And then watch as everything else in your life begins to align with the standard you've set for yourself. This is the transformation you've been looking for. It's not complicated, but it is difficult. It requires commitment. It requires obsession. And it absolutely, without question, works.